Mafia. We have 325 days to go, 272 days. We have 263 days. We have 240 days to the 98. We have 154 days. We have 97 days to go. We have 89 days to go. We have 86 days to go until the Buffalo Bills win Super Bowl 57.
And now it is time for the only channel dedicated to counting down the days until the Buffalo Bills win Super Bowl 57.
I just don't know if they're going to make it. I'm done.
What is up, Bills Mafia? We have 79 days to go until the Buffalo Bills win Super Bowl 57. This channel is going to document every single day leading up to that amazing moment with a video or live stream. I'm going to jump on real quick here and talk about Buffalo Bills football, where we are right now with everything that's happened. Obviously, the big story is the Von Miller injury. We are, if you're like me, you're checking every 10 minutes the internet, Twitter, whatever you can, to see if you got any update on what is going on with Von Miller's knee injury. The latest is that he does not have an ACL tear and instead has, I believe they know that he has a tear of the meniscus. Now, that may or may not be season ending. I guess there are different grades of meniscus tears. And I did a little poking around on the internet to see other NFL players that have had meniscus tears. And there are a couple in the past 2 weeks that have had meniscus tears. And they're done for the season. And the one meniscus tear story that I came across was with Zach Wilson of the Jets. He tore his meniscus back in August, and he had surgery on his meniscus, and it was just arthroscopic surgery, and then he was back, I think, week 2 of the season, and he injured his knee in the middle of August, so he was out for 5 weeks. I was able to get back on the field. But real quick, I just want to say hello to Big J and Joe, if you guys are still there. Appreciate it. So I've got some great news when it comes to the Von Miller knee injury. I want to get to that in a second. It's potential great news. It's news that I think may develop into great news, and it might be something you guys thought about. Get to that in a second. But the Bills at this point in time are not the same team that started the season. We know that. I took a gander at their statistics, both offensively and defensively, and they've tapered off from the beginning of the season. Beginning of the season, when we had a complete healthy team, we had what was going to probably be the best team, one of the best, if not the best teams ever to play a season in the NFL. This team was going to just roll everybody week in and week out on their way to a Super Bowl championship. Now we have what I would say is an above average football team. That's what we have now. We have an above average football team. And that's obviously because of all the injuries that we have been dealing with. It's just has been up and down, mostly on the defense. It's been up and down on the defense. First, it started out in the secondary with Micah Hyde going out and Jordan Poyer going out, and of course Christian Benford broke his hand, and then you had Dane Jackson get injured. Which if you're like holding on for dear life with Dane Jackson as your starting cornerback, you are definitely, scraping the bottom of the barrel. Dane Jackson has, over the last 2 weeks, shown to be, at best, a backup corner in the NFL. He's definitely struggled. Maybe he'll get his game back. I don't know. But then it goes from the secondary to the linebackers. You have Matt Milano was out for a little bit, and now Tremaine Edmonds is out. Hopefully he'll be back against the Patriots. And then beyond that, you go from the linebacker position to the defensive line. Greg Rousseau goes out. I know that Ed Oliver, I think, was out for a couple of games there early on. Whatever. We've had injuries all over the place, and it's caught up to us. And so it's made us, I think, not an average team. We're above average. Definitely a contender still, but it has been tough. And now we're dealing with this injury from Von Miller. And I'm going to get to, what I think is great news about Von Miller. I'm not going to tease you too much longer. I'm going to kind of share it with you. But before I get to that, I just want to say that I looked at the Bills' rankings, and more than that, I looked at the Bills' defensive production over the past 4 or 5 games compared to the first 2 or 3 games. And I'll tell you what, the Bills held teams to well under 250 yards, like 2 out of the first 4 weeks. And then under 300 yards, I think 4 out of the first 5 weeks of the season. And then over the last 3-4 weeks, it's gotten bad. Giving up a ton of yards, gave up a lot of yards to the Vikings, gave up quite a few yards to the Lions, gave up quite a few yards to, who else did we beat the Packers, but gave up a fair amount of yards to them. Now, a lot of that was junk time, and then the one loss that we had against the Jets, that wasn't too bad. We played well defensively in that game. What I'm trying to get at is we're definitely right now looking at a team that is going to be tested. Their ability to rise above all this will determine whether or not we can get the number 1 seed. I'm not too worried about the division, but get the number 1 seed. And great timing, Higgs, 72. These divisional game wins are going to be huge. You think they're going to come easy. I don't know about the Patriots game on the road, especially without Von Miller. But the Jets and the Dolphins game at home, I think those should be blowouts. Both of those should be blowouts. So I would say the Patriots game, the one Patriots game coming up Thursday night, that is going to be the game. The game. And we need not all 3 division games. We got to win out. If we want to get the number 1 seed in the AFC, we have to win out. If we win out, we will have the number 1 seed in the AFC, because I'm sure that the Chiefs are going to lose at least a game coming up down the stretch here. They're playing the Broncos twice. Broncos are going to be a tough game, especially on the road in Denver. The last game of the season is against the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that should be tough. And beyond that, they got Seattle. And Seattle should be tough, and they have the Rams coming up. I know the Rams kind of stink overall record-wise, and then, let's go Texans. Let's get the win against the Texans. Oh, my gosh. If they lose to the Texans, we're in great shape. All right, I'm not gonna waste too much more of your time. I want to talk about Von Miller and why his injury, I think, could be good news for the Bills in the long run. But before I say that, I don't expect Von Miller's injury to work out to be good news in the long run. So it's kind of like I'm talking out both sides of my mouth here. The fact that the Bills did not send him right in to get arthroscopic surgery on his knee, much like Zach Wilson did in mid-August, tells me that they are hoping against hope it's not a serious tear, but they're expecting it will be. And I know they're going to kind of reevaluate it in 7 to 10 days, but that to me is a ominous sign. But I don't know. No one knows. And here's what I think. If Von Miller can come back, he's not coming back until the end of the regular season, maybe the first or second playoff game. We would love to have Von Miller in there, obviously, for this stretch, the last 6-7 games of the regular season. Is it 6 now? 6. Holy cow. If the if Von Miller comes back at the beginning of the playoffs, and he's Von Miller, I think the fact that he was basically put on the shelf, right, against our will. I mean, we would want him to be in there, but since he's going to be forced to be shelved for the next 6 games, if he's coming back for the playoffs, that could be gigantic. That could be huge. I have always said, man, I almost wish that the Bills would not play Von Miller for the first half of the season and then get him in there for the home stretch. That looks like it might happen. We might be getting Von Miller back at the most critical time of the season. He's 33 years old. The guy could probably benefit from a good 6 weeks off from being in the heat of the battle in games so that he is ready to pop when the playoffs start. So if this injury is something that he can come back from this season, that might work in our favor. I know you're like, great. That's the good news. I think it could be gigantic news because when it comes to these older players and the ones that perform at such a high level, man, getting them to get a little bit of a break. That's why they have vet rest days, is to give these guys a bit of a break from having to go. And I personally wanted Von Miller to rack up 15 or more sacks this season for the Bills. That would be cool. Statistics are great. We all love them. And it certainly would have been nice to see what type of season Von Miller could have with the Bills, in 2022 overall. But now that he's out, and now that it looks like he is definitely going to be, at best, coming back for the last game or so of the regular season and then maybe the playoffs. Let's look at it that way. Higgs called it right. Tre'Davious White is back, so he's coming back at a good time. Hopefully he'll play a whole bunch more against the Patriots. And hopefully if he comes back, when he's on the field on a regular basis, hopefully he's the old Tre'Davious White that we know. And then getting Tremaine Edmonds back, of course. Getting Kaiir Elam back completely healthy. Who else were we missing? We were missing also, missing Greg Rousseau. Yeah, Greg Rousseau and Tremaine Edmonds. Getting those 2 guys back is going to be huge. And that's what I think when it comes to Von Miller. I believe that possibly this is going to end up being a good thing because as long as the Bills can rack up the wins down the stretch, get into the playoffs, get Von Miller, bring him back, open the doors of his cage, let him out, and let's go. Playoff time, baby, where Von Miller proves to do his most damage against teams. That's what I'm thinking. Love to know what you guys think about that. But finally, I do have a feeling that this is going to end up being the end of the season for Von Miller. I just think that hanging on for 7 to 10 days to reevaluate is not a good sign. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. As for the rest of the team, again, they're playing above average football right now only because they have, so many injuries. They get these guys back. I think we'll be clicking again. One last thing just kind of came to me. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but it looks like OBJ is going to go to Dallas. I think that's just what everybody expects now. Somehow, some way, if we could get Odell Beckham Jr. to come to the Bills, I think that would be probably the one area where Buffalo could benefit from a player like OBJ to take a very good offense and not only have some insurance, but another weapon on the field because, the Isaiah McKenzie experiment showed actually to be pretty good this past game against the Detroit Lions. But I think we're still a little tired of the McKenzie Isaiah McKenzie contributions or sometimes lack of in the Bills offense. I'd love to see Khalil Shakir start to make his way onto the field more. But OBJ, man, if we could somehow, some way pull that off, and I know now with Von Miller injured, that probably actually puts the kibosh on that, because that was our in with OBJ is Von Miller. With Von Miller possibly not coming back this season, I think OBJ might well just say, well, I was considering Buffalo, but now that my buddy Von's not going to be on the field, I'm going to probably just move on to Dallas. Jerry Jones, Dallas. And we might be seeing OBJ in the Super Bowl. Oh, my gosh. That would be crazy. Quick look through of our chat here. Use Knox more for the love of God. Joe, no kidding, right? They've been throwing to him a bit more over the last few games. He kind of disappears and he comes back, and he was instrumental in that comeback win against the Lions. I can't believe I'm saying a comeback win against the Lions. But Big J says, let's go Bills playoffs. You got that right, doggone Skippy right. So it's the Patriots, and the Patriots thankfully lost to the Vikings. Yeah, Vikings lost to the Vikings, and that keeps them. That kind of pretty much takes them out of the AFC East division equation. The Jets aren't looking good, so Buffalo should win the East, but we don't care about winning the East. We care about getting that number 1 seed, and that's all that matters right now. Getting the number 1 seed in the AFC. Man, big games coming up this weekend. We'll see. So that's it. Von Miller, if he comes back, he's coming back just when the playoffs start, and that just might be great. That's my thought for the day. Remember, 79 days until Buffalo wins it all. And I'll be here every step of the way, boys and girls. See you tomorrow.